Councilman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Ford?
Here.
Councilman Porco?
He's here. He's on a phone call.
Councilman McMillan?
Here.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
And Mayor Mascarosola.
Here. All right, Sam, can I see your copy of that?
Yeah.
I wrote this number down here. 14,262, 064, 93. All right, thanks. All right, the first item on the agenda is the public meeting for the 2012 budget. Right? Yeah. So we have a resolution 12-130, which is a resolution to read the budget by title. Can I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that is just, well, Alan explained that, a resolution to read the budget by title.
Right, if we don't pass this resolution, we have to read the entire budget, so
Yeah.
this allows us just to read it by title.
And the budget for 2012 is this is the total municipal budget, $14,262,000, $64.93. So I would like to have a motion to open the public hearing on the 2012 municipal budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the 2012 municipal budget? I'll just begin by saying that the municipal budget process in River Edge is done by the council with the help of our CFO, Alan Negrian, and also the assistance of our Citizens Budget Committee, made up of regular members of the public. We have a member of the Citizens Budget Committee right here sitting in the audience. It's a process by which we go over the budget line by line. We hear from our department heads regarding their use of the budget from last year, whether or not they've expended all the money, where we can find potential cuts. Part of the budget is a capital, which is to protect and maintain our infrastructure, our buildings, municipal equipment, to make sure we can ensure all of the essential services here in town, police, fire, ambulance, DPW, our borough employees and the health department, the library. It's all included in the budget process. Our budget book, we don't have one here to show you, but it's about this thick. So that's our budget book, and we go over it line by line. And we took some members of the budget committee and the council wanted to take an axe, and some wanted to take a scalpel, and we used everything. We used all the surgical instruments that we could. So with that introduction, I'll invite any council members or our CFO or members of the public to speak. But I would like our CFO, Alan, to just indicate what our budget is in terms of the mandatory state caps and the process that we use. Alan, could you just describe that?
Well, we are at both cap levels. There is a 1977 spending cap, and the borough is within that cap limitation. There is also a cap limit on our levy with exceptions, and the borough is within that statutory limit as well. This year's budget was very challenging in that our revenues decreased by a little over $800,000. We had significant increases in some line items like the Bergen County Utilities Authority, over $105,000. Our reserve for uncollected taxes were up $114,000, and we had the emergency from Hurricane Irene and the Halloween storm of $174,000. Given all of that, the Mayor and Council and the Citizens Budget Committee crafted a budget which is 2.23% below last year's appropriations. The salary and wages, which is an increase of a little over $100,000, represents 1.98% increase, less than a 2% increase on the salary and wages. The capital, the Mayor and Council and the Citizens Budget Committee were very selective in terms of the capital projects that were approved. We have ordinances on tonight for introduction to carry through with those programs. Some of the major ones were an HVAC system for Borough Hall, a road resurfacing program, purchase of a new forestry truck, and other equipment for the police and the fire departments. Mayor, if there are any questions from the public, I'd be glad to entertain them.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, Paolo Giulia, 65 Fifth Avenue. My question to the council is, the biggest chunk of our expenditures are for education, the school system. And so my question is, why don't we petition to have our school budget, or have the school system really funded through state general tax, state income tax? Why does each town have to pay for individually duplicate? You know, we have 3 superintendents, so does the next town, so does the next town. You have so much duplication. We can't afford it anymore. Everybody knows how their property taxes have gone through the roof. It's getting ridiculous to the point where people are going to have to walk away from their homes. Especially people in our retirement, have no kids in school, are paying for the tuition for younger kids, for younger parents who have jobs. And people on fixed income have to pay for the school system. How is that fair across the board for all the citizens of the town? How is it fair for New Jersey? Why can't the school formula be changed? Why doesn't anyone really take the issue up and have a state-funded school system through an income tax or sales tax, whatever other mechanism, another lottery, I don't know, whatever it is. But I think property taxes are being overdone, and it's killing everyone. It's pushing people to leave town. It's making the town less attractive. We can't afford a school system like this. So if we want the same level of education or better, get better funding sources, consolidate and stop the waste and duplication. We don't need 3 superintendents. We don't need 10 kids in school. We don't need to spend money on laptops for high school seniors. They don't even know how to, they shouldn't even know how to teach the kids. I think there are things that are being done in town that we can't afford anymore. And when you go to that budget book and you look at it again, really think about how to shift the burden to someone else or more across the board.
Thank you. Al.
I appreciate your comments. As you know, we have no say whatsoever on the River Edge or the Riverdale Board of Education decisions on the budgets. Those are controlled by the Board of Education, not by this council. And you're correct. 2/3 of your property taxes come from the schools, not from this council. The cost of running both the schools, River Edge's percentage, total cost is about $32 million. You can see our budget's 14.2. So, that is an issue that needs to be addressed with the boards of ed. My understanding is there was one person who came to Riverdale's budget hearing the other night. One person, 2 towns, 20,000 people between the 2 towns, one person showed up. I wish I could have been there. I was here. The cost of education is extremely high in this state. We know that. And you're correct that changes do need to be made to how schools are funded in the state, in terms of the fact that the suburbs are consistently shortchanged on the state aid that we receive. Predominantly, the money in the state goes to the so-called Abbott districts. And if you're not familiar with what that is, there's a Supreme Court case called Abbott versus Burke. All right? And the Supreme Court essentially took it upon themselves to create a funding formula for the state. I don't know where they thought they got the authority to do this, but we have one of the most activist courts in the entire nation, and they created a funding formula. And they said, no, you got to send the money to these Abbott districts. I don't care if, Newark, Jersey City, Hoboken, they all have infrastructure in place that if they want to provide for their schools, I'm willing to bet they could. But money, your income tax dollar, is shifted not to the River Edge schools, it goes to these Abbott districts across the state. And it shortchanges the people in River Edge. If this district was fairly funded the way it's supposed to be, you would see a significant decrease in your property taxes. But for some reason, the state, our senators, our assembly people refuse to challenge the New Jersey Supreme Court on the way the schools are funded, and it consistently shortchanges the suburbs, and it's simply wrong. So if you want to petition anyone, write your senator, write your assembly people, because if they would only fund the schools the way they're supposed to, you would see a significant drop in your property taxes. And you're right, that's the avenue that has to be tackled. It's with your schools, and it's with school funding and getting the state aid that we deserve. Because your property tax, or your income tax that you pay to the state, it's not coming back to you here in River Edge. It's going all out across the state. It's going to Newark, it's going to Patterson, it's going to Jersey City, Hoboken, it's going to those Abbott districts, and it's not coming here. So that's really, I would encourage you to write them.
So I'm willing to pick that up if I get some assistance. I don't know how to walk the road, but I'm open to it. If anyone wants to step up and work with me, I'll go wherever.
Do you want to give us your information afterward?
Sure.
Al is right about so much of what he said, but one of the things he's left out is the Supreme Court decided that because the New Jersey State Constitution has a thorough and efficient cause. It's not so much that the legislators are afraid to challenge it, it's that the state constitution has to be changed. So you would need to really petition the senators and assemblymen and women to work towards a change in the Constitution, because they don't. The court has consistently, over several cases, Abbott being one of them, upheld the thorough and efficient clause in the Constitution of New Jersey. So that's really what has to be changed. It's the legislature itself isn't capable of changing the way the funding is working until they address the issue of the Constitution.
Well, let me just, I know this is really the public hearing on the budget, and I don't want to go on the side on, because the three of us at least can argue for hours over Abbott versus Burke and the Supreme Court decisions and the constitutional requirement of a thorough, efficient education. And it would be fascinating, but everybody would fall asleep. Is there anybody else who has a comment on the budget? Yes, Casey.
Casey Connors, 259 Adams Avenue. You were talking about the school budgets and the taxes, how they relate to each other. 2/3, I think you said, Al?
Something like that, yeah.
And, has anybody really put a thought into it, what our taxes would be like without Oradell? You'd have such a vacuum of people leaving this town, we'd suck out the other people with us. Nobody could afford to live here. The gentleman down there was saying he was paying, I think he said 20-some-odd thousand, they're expecting it. That's ridiculous for this town. I don't care where you live. Saddle River doesn't pay that kind of stuff for the same type houses we have. They don't even have them up there. They don't have Cape Cods up there. They got mansions,
Right.
acres of land.
Any other? Al?
Yeah, just real quick, that's part of the problem in River Edge. If you had all like houses, you would see parity in the real estate taxes.
Probably wouldn't.
No, yeah, well, you described Saddle River, where you have mansions. So if every house in town was an $800,000 or an $850,000 home, you would see parity amongst the taxes because all the homes would be valued equally. Here in River Edge, you have a disparity between some homes being $800,000-900,000 and some being $300,000. So that creates that difference in the taxes. If all homes were the same value, you would have parity across the board in the tax rate, or in the taxes that each house is charged. And we don't have that here.
Could you please get back to my question, or has anybody addressed that, what the taxes would be if Wardell was to move out of the school system with River Edge?
I don't know, I'd be speculating.
Mayor, can I say something?
I'd speculate it would probably double everybody's.
Casey, I don't want to get off topic here.
No, it wouldn't be that much.
That really, we're talking about the budget right now.
Talking about our budget.
Yeah.
We're talking about our $14 million budget, not the school system's $32 million
It's part of your
budget.
budget.
No,
Not
it's
part
not.
of our
It's
budget.
not part of our budget.
They do their,
It's part of the town's budget.
it's part of your tax bill. It's part of your tax bill. But it's not part of our budget.
You vote on it.
No, we don't vote on it.
You vote on your budget here.
We vote on our,
You have no say in what they say.
absolutely zero. Zero.
Maybe that's where the problem has to be changed. You know, Al, you were saying before with the writing senators and this and assemblymen, maybe the thing has to be written to the State Board of Education, that it's got to be changed there.
Well, that's the point that Mr. Chilia?
Yeah.
Mr. Chilia brought up, is that the way the schools are funded in New Jersey is based upon property tax values. And maybe that should change. Maybe the funding formula should be state income tax, cigarette tax, gambling tax, tolls. Maybe it should be something other than property taxes.
Wasn't it 25, 30 years ago when they started the lottery and the casinos, that there was so much, a percentage of, whether it was money coming in or their profits, the lottery or the casinos, it was supposed to be going towards the education in New Jersey and for seniors and stuff like that?
Every time that there's a referendum, such as a referendum to make gambling legalized, you always hear things like, the money is going to go to support the schools. But here we are, how long has gambling been legalized in New Jersey? Since the 60s? The 70s? And I don't see all the gambling money coming into the school system.
Mayor, we have
Yes.
to move on, I think.
Do you know
I
if
know.
any of it comes back to?
Is there anyone else who has a comment about our budget, the municipal budget? Mr. Chilia.
Yes, one more comment, if I may.
Name and address.
How
Name and
will-
address, please.
Pablo Chilia, 685 Fifth Avenue. So, knowing that what our budget is and constraints that we have, how are we mitigating or trying to raise revenues to offset that budget? Are we inviting commercialization in town? I heard earlier a gentleman speak about duplex housing, maybe perhaps that, raising more revenue for the town. What are some of the ideas that we have that the council is considering to help with the budget?
That's a very good question, and you'll get many different answers from the council. I can tell you that on Thursday night's planning board meeting is a vote to approve a new 46-unit condominium project on Kinderkamak Road, which would add roughly $300,000 or so more in tax revenue. We're hoping that they break ground soon on the Huffman Coos property to build 2 new buildings, which will generate additional income. We are hoping that we can find a responsible developer to develop the New Jersey Transit railroad station on the south end of town to make some sort of transit village, which is a long-range project. We are discussing amongst the council to hire a professional planner to look at rezoning to make some portions of the town more attractive for private development. Those are some of the things that we're doing to try to increase revenue. But other council members may have other things to say. Ed?
I agree with the mayor. It's a long process, unfortunately, and to go through rezoning and looking at all those impacts, it has to be done properly because you don't want to have unintended consequences. Excuse me. So it's something we're definitely interested in pursuing now. There's a resolution over tonight for hiring a redevelopment attorney. That's something I was in favor of. Through them, we would get a planner and look at a lot of these issues and hopefully be able to get some real changes on the books and maybe encourage that development for starting. So,
All right.
I'm hopeful.
Anybody else? All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on the 2012 budget?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Budget will be on for final adoption now?
No, Mayor, if I may, we will probably have a work session on the 16th to discuss an amendment to the budget, incorporated any changes that the state requires, so we will have to go through that process, so it will be late April or early May when the budget will be finally adopted.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the Mayor and Council for the work session, a regular meeting of March 19th, 2012. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. One abstention. Denise, you got that? I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council for the work session meeting of March 26, 2012.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right. There are two proclamations this week. One is a proclamation for National Volunteer Week, and the other one is a proclamation for Donate, I guess it's Donate Organ Life Month. I'll read the proclamations. The first proclamation, Denise, is there anybody who can accept the proclamation regarding the Organ Donor Month? Yeah, oh, very good. All right, come on up, come on up.
I didn't see you, Barbara.
Can I have your name, ma'am?
Well, that was just a little aside.
Okay. Well, you got involved how?
Well, when my son Sam needed a liver transplant, and one was not available in time for him, and in his memory, I've been working for the past 6, going on 7 years, trying to get to promote more members in our community to the New Jersey Organ Sharing Network, Organ and Tissue Sharing Network. And that's how I got started. And this is the 6th or 7th proclamation that the mayor has read to me.
I'm very happy to give it. Let me read the proclamation. Whereas those who dedicate their time, efforts, and skills to help others are amongst the most valued members of our community, and whereas there is a great shortage of organ and tissue donors, and thousands of people on the organ transplant waiting list who will not live to receive one, and whereas each day 18 people die while on the organ waiting list, every 13 minutes someone is added to the waiting list, and that in New Jersey over 5,000 residents are waiting for organs and tissues. And whereas the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission is cooperating with the New Jersey Sharing Network, that you need only to designate on your driver's license that you want to be a donor, and that the information will also go into the New Jersey Sharing Network computers. And whereas if you are not a driver, you may still designate your wish to be an organ donor on any legal ID card. And whereas the science of matching and performing organ transplant surgery has become more advanced, and whereas the last year there have been 409 transplants performed in New Jersey, and whereas the New Jersey Sharing Network has a new information brochure which contains a temporary donor card to be filled out and kept in your wallet until you have the opportunity to register this information on your driver's license or ID card. And I see you have the brochure, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I have...
Let me just finish the proclamation. Whereas it is possible for one donor to save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of up to 75 others through tissue donation. Now therefore, I, the Mayor of Borough of River Edge, do hereby proclaim April 2012 as Donate Life Month. And here it is. And I'll sign it.
And the council and our borough clerk for doing this for us.
Thank you very much.
Now, this newest brochure that's just came Saturday in the mail for me does not contain the temporary card to be filled out. And they say that there are 3 easy ways to register with the New Jersey Sharing Network. And the 3 are first when you renew or your driver's license or apply for a new one, or for the state ID card, to designate that you wish to be an organ donor, and it will be placed on the face of your license or ID card. Are there any members here that carry such a license? Oh, yes, most important. But there are quite a few, but we have to work, because I was shocked to learn that we ranked 40th in our country and our nation. And the New Jersey network, this was true for 2010 and 2011, and they are working hard, and I've got to work harder. And we all have to work harder, because after all, we cannot use these organs after the good Lord calls us to our resting place. And it really you won't feel a thing. So if you're skittish that way, you can forget it. And there's another point of view. You might look at it upon it. There's no sentence so sad as he was his mother's only child, and she is a widow. In the world we live in a world of broken hearts. And wouldn't it be wonderful to give this precious, priceless gift of life to prevent one more broken heart?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I look forward to dealing with you. We have a common name, Sandy.
And the second proclamation is for National Volunteer Week, which is April 15th to the 21st. Whereas the residents of River Edge live in a community that inspires, equips, and mobilizes people to take action that changes lives for the better, and whereas our dedicated volunteers connect local community service through dozens of community service organizations, and whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social change, discovering their power to make a difference, and whereas during this week, April 15th to 21st, all over the nation, service projects will be performed, and volunteers recognized for their commitment to service, and whereas the giving of oneself to another empowers both the giver and the receiver, and whereas the experience teaches us that government itself cannot solve all of our nation's social problems, and whereas our country's volunteer force has over 63 million and is a great national treasure, and whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation, now therefore it is hereby proclaimed that April 15th to 21st, 2012 as National Volunteer Week. And just let me say that on Sunday, April 15th at 1 p.m. at the River Edge Library. We're having our first ever we're having our first annual Volunteer Appreciation Day, and I see many of our volunteers right here in the audience. I see we have volunteers from the fire department. I see we have a volunteer from our rent leveling board. I see we have volunteers from our Citizens Budget Committee. Are there any other volunteers here in the audience? Oh, beautification, right? Recreation.
Challenger.
Okay, great. We have, and I want to thank everybody who's a volunteer. We have, I think, probably over 500 volunteers. We have 10 times more volunteers than we have employees in River Edge, which makes it such a great community to live in, and why we all love it so much. And we're all volunteers up here too. We don't get paid. We don't get paid.
No, we get paid.
Anything like
We're not.
anything like we get a stipend, but we don't get salaries. So, with that said, it's a pleasure to have for this mayor and council to host the first River Edge Volunteer Appreciation Day coming up a week from Sunday. Thank you. Who's going to accept it?
Anybody over there?
I'm going to keep it. I'll keep it. All right, we have appointments and personnel changes. The first one is to approve the separation of Michael Marion of the DPW for inspector, property and maintenance inspector, effective April 12, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approve the retirement of Rose Pagan, the technical assistant to the construction official, effective July 1st, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This next one is the separation of Richard Berry, Emergency Management Coordinator, whose term expired April 1st, I think? April 1st. And the next one is the mayor's appointment, which is to approve the appointment of Tom Smith, 288 Manning Avenue, as the Emergency Management Coordinator for a 3-year term from April 1st, 2012 through April 1st, 2015, and an annual step salary of $6,000 with a 6-month probationary period.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have Mr. Smith here. Want to be sworn, Mr. Tom? All right. I don't know, is there a Bible? Bible? Sure. Penny, you want to hold the Bible? All right. Ready to raise your right hand?
They're not on camera if you want to move them forward.
Come over here. Here we go.
Keep on going now. Keep on going now.
Keep on going?
Sit in my lap.
Keep on going?
Keep on
Oh,
going.
you
There
can see it
go.
on the monitor
There you
now?
go.
All right.
All right, I state your name.
I, Tom Smith,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the government
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I state your name,
and that I, Tom Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
impartially, and justly
perform all of the duties
perform all of the duties
of the Office of Emergency Management Coordinator
of the Office of Emergency Management Coordinator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
We'll do another one.
Thanks.
Okay. With your pen, right? All right. Next, we have a list of correspondence of letters received by the mayor and council, which are all available at the borough clerk's office if any member of the public wishes to review them. Next, we have liaison reports. Liaisons are members of the governing body who have been assigned to various departments to get status and to communicate with departments and then to report back here to council and the public as to the various issues and progress of the different borough departments. We have already had some reports earlier in the evening at the work session. I'll go around the dais again and see if we have any additional reports. Kathleen, any additional reports?
Not from the work session.
Okay. Paul, any additional reports?
No, Mayor.
All right. Johnny, any additional reports?
No.
All right. Ed?
I can make one announcement, that our annual Hackensack River cleanup is Sunday, May 20th, 8 a.m. I'm hoping we get a lot of council turnout this year and more members of the public. We had a very good turnout last year, but it takes a lot of effort, and it's a very good cause, and it's amazing the amount of debris that's removed. You just don't believe it until you actually see it physically. So
You're doing that with the Riverkeeper?
yes.
What time
They
does it start?
sponsor it. It starts 8 a.m.
What's the date again?
Sunday, May 20th.
May 20th.
And I'll just bring up indirectly, with the police, the PBA is having a beefsteak benefit to raise funds for the Emergency Responder 9/11 Memorial, and it's on Wednesday, April 18th at 6 p.m. at St. Peter's. $60 a person, and you can call the River Edge PBA to get your tickets, and I encourage everybody to attend. It's a very good cause.
Ed, where does everybody meet at 8 a.m. on May 20th?
The boat launch down by the swim club. And we provide the life jackets and everything.
Ed, I was talking to Fred Newman. He said the life jackets were chewed through by
That's what we
rats.
did appropriate. I'd asked for some capital money, and that was to replace
Yeah.
new ones, so hopefully we've gotten some
Whoever can
more.
get them or whatever.
I hope so.
We're closed so you can get dirty.
Yes.
There
Unfortunately,
is
I lost a phone last year because I was in a canoe that tipped. It wasn't my fault, and I would take responsibility if it was, but it was it cut my experience a little short, but it was still a good effort.
Thank you.
And just following up what you said about the planning board, that we're probably voting on that no Atkins application on this coming Thursday.
Nothing to add at this time.
Tom?
Yeah, Construction Department, Construction Officer Bob Byrne. Construction Department is deeply sorry, as so am I, to see that Rose Pagan has put in a resignation. Her going will be a huge loss to the department, and Bob and I would like to thank her publicly for over 10 years of outstanding service to the borough. The department reports a significant increase in CO resale inspections. Rose explains that normally there are only 1 or 2 of these requests over a 2 or 3 week period. However, last week there has been over 6 requests, and this week 2 requests. These requests are necessary in order to sell home, and the majority of them were the larger colonials that got a higher tax assessment. River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, Chairperson Marie Papaleo, Judy Foreman, Alan Negrian, and Stephanie Hartman met with Marie Papaleo over several weeks ago to discuss the position. On Wednesday, March 21st, Ms. Papaleo went to training at the county office. Many good ideas were shared for the Alliance Chairperson. On March 26th, a meeting was held with the counselors of the school, guidance counselors of the school, to determine their needs for the year. Dr. O'Neill mentioned that she had not been given monies for the Rebel program this year. Ms. Papaleo is working to remedy this. On Tuesday, 27th, there will be a meeting of the PTO meeting with the PTO chairpersons and chair of the Alliance to see what programs are requested for those. So these are, actually, I was going to give this at the previous meeting, and we did not give council reports. So Bobby Conway is, from the Rec Department, is helping many ways. Shirts for the River Edge Walk on April 21st. That's one of the things she's assisting on. $500 was a requisition for the River Edge Public Library for their Talk It Up program. And a program for senior citizens of River Edge is being considered. There are some really great programs that they are considering. Okay. Social Service Committee, Chairperson Jean Getter. There's been no meeting in the last 5 years. There has not been any meetings since they stopped having welfare cases. Thus, the chair sees no business requiring a meeting. Chairman Getter and I would like to thank the First Congregational Church for the yearly donation of food gift cards, which usually occurs in October. In the last month and a half, $150 in food cards were given out to one family in River Edge, and $75 of food cards giving out to a single mom in River Edge. I'd like to thank Gene for his selfless work that has gone on for many, many years. Fire Department, Chief Mouthy, Assistant Chief Gregory Curdy, and Deputy Chief Eric Schultz. First, I'd like to request that the town update the website so it reflects the current officers. Next, the chief and the assistant chiefs have reprogrammed the sirens, and all sirens are now programmed on 6 cycles as opposed to 4. The sirens were first reprogrammed on January 12th for the newer, shorter cycles, which were 3 seconds on, 6 seconds off. The total run time was 34 seconds. This was proving to be too short. That, coupled with the lower decibel level, was resulting in some calls being answered with a very limited manpower or volunteer fire response. In fact, daytime calls about 4 weeks ago where Ordell needed a ladder truck for assistance, and we had only one member show up due to the drop in decibel level and the shortening. So in order to resolve this without burdening the people of Kensington, they did not extend the on time, but extend the cycles. So that's why they went from 4 to 6 cycles, so that we would not pose a safety hazard to the residents. Thursday, a week ago Thursday, the sirens was reprogrammed, and Kinnickinnick, Maine was activated. So that's a week ago Thursday. The chiefs are continuing to respond to concerns of the citizens of Windsor and Kensington while maintaining the highest level of vigilance in regards to safety concerns for the residents, also for the firefighters. A reduced turnout of firefighters greatly limits the operational capabilities and thus limits what we can be accomplished in the first critical moments of an emergency. River Edge Fire Department has committed to provide the highest level of safety and service to its residents and business owners of our community. And so we believe we need the sirens to help us provide this. They are a concurrent system, not a duplicate system. Also, just real quick, I have a lot of data, but I don't want to go too much. Important thing that did happen this just recently was Richard Neerhout. I hope I'm saying his name right. Am I saying it correctly? Neerhout, thank you. Got certified as an incident safety officer. He did this on his own, and it's been very important because the officers had a tri-borough safety meeting on March 14th, and during that meeting they came to realize that we have a problem with not enough certified incident safety officers. These safety officers have the authority to shut down a fire response if they deem the current action dangerous. So they have a really important and weighty task. So the tri-borough is considering sharing this as another shared services. There have been 20 members of the board of the River Edge Daisies that visited the firehouse, and over 7 firefighters gave them a tour. On March 6th, New Jersey Transit conducted a seminar and training of rail operations. Over 30 volunteer firefighters attended that. On March 21st, PSE&G conducted a training seminar on electrical transmission lines. Over 30 volunteer members attended that. Both companies had their baselines completed, and that was over 57 members. So, and they've had 24 calls, and I'll be doing monthly reports that include all this data so the council is kept up to date on how much work our volunteer fire department is doing for the town.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome.
Mayor, I just had one question. Tom, you mentioned on the fire siren, the one truck that went out.
Yes.
All right.
The information I have was, there was a daytime call. Ordell needed a ladder truck, but we only had one member show up.
Now, was that because of the siren? Don't they have pagers?
They do, but they're volunteers, so they don't have their pagers with them all the time. They're not required to carry their pagers. They do because they're committed. But if their pager's not with them, due to whatever it is, they wouldn't hear it. Now, the fire department has had an issue with council and the sirens, but the firefighters are continuing carrying their pagers. They are completely dedicated to safety. They would not do a job action. This was not a job action. I don't want that. I know you're not suggesting it, but I don't want the public
No,
to
I'm
think
just
that at all.
questioning. How many firemen are
Three.
usually on call for
On call?
or just out of a membership?
To run a truck, they need three.
Hold on, Kev. How many firemen are usually on call during a day on that or you said they didn't get there because of the fire whistle. How many are on usually have their pages with them? Is there a note of that, of how many
I can certainly find that out for you. You're asking, if I understand you correctly, what is the normal response?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking for what's the normal response for a daytime call?
Yeah.
Okay, I can certainly
right.
find that out and report back to you.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Tom, just...
Wait. Let's just finish with the business we have. We have council comments. We have members of the public. We have members of the fire department here that may want to comment on the whole siren issue, but let's get through the agenda. We have certain ordinances on for first reading. We have ordinance number 1761. Denise, could you read the title to the ordinance?
Ordinance 1761, ordinance appropriating $6,000 from the general capital fund, capital improvement fund for the purchase of equipment.
All right, this ordinance 1761 is for the purchase of traffic signs for the police department as a capital improvement. It's my understanding that we allocate approximately the same amount of money every year for the replacement and upgrades of traffic signs. So, do I have a motion to put that on for first reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed, anybody abstained? All right, thank you. Ordinance number 1762. Denise, could you read the title of ordinance number 1762?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 1762, a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, and new communication and signal systems equipment in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $158,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment to authorize issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
All right, thank you, Denise. This bond ordinance is for the following purposes. It's for the acquisition of a new generator at Fire Company number 2. The original generator that was there was at ground level, and it was underwater when we had the flood. This bond ordinance is for the acquisition of a new computerized fuel management system at the DPW. It is for the new or replacement thermal imaging camera for the fire department. It's for the acquisition of turnout gear for the fire department, which is an ongoing yearly expense that we do on a cycle. We don't replace all the turnout gear at one shot. We do it little by little. This is for the acquisition of a mobile computer for the police department. This is for the acquisition of equipment for narrowband radio, which is required under federal regulations for our police department, and also for the planting of trees at various locations in town, because we lost hundreds of trees in the storms and hurricanes that we had last year. and also for a study of the American Legion. So do I have a motion and a second to put this ordinance on to pass this ordinance on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right. For the public, all the ordinances that are going to be put on for first reading are going to be relisted they're going to be relisted, they're going to be published in the newspaper, and they're going to be put on for a public hearing, at which time any member of the public can comment or make a statement regarding the passage of these ordinances. The next ordinance we have is ordinance number 1763. Denise, could you read the title of ordinance number 1763?
Ordinance 1763, a bond ordinance authorizing making of various public improvements and the acquisition of a new automotive vehicle, including the original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $845,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, authorize issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
All right, ordinance number 1763 is for the acquisition of certain equipment. This bond ordinance is for the replacement of the municipal building's HVAC system. It's for the acquisition of a new tree truck or forestry truck for the DPW. The existing forestry truck that we have is 17 years old, and it has various mechanical problems. It will not pass testing in another 18 months or so. It's also for our yearly road resurfacing program. This is based upon a list of streets that need resurfacing that are categorized based upon the condition of the streets, and this is also for improvements to the storm drainage systems at this Voorhees and Elm, which have problems when we have heavy rain downfalls, and we have local flooding there. Can I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 1763 on the first reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, those are all the ordinances up for first reading. Every ordinance will be relisted for a public meeting on April 16th. Thank you, Denise. We have an ordinance on for second reading. That ordinance is ordinance number 1760. Denise, could you read the title of that ordinance?
Ordinance 1760, a bond ordinance to amend section 4.c of bond ordinance 1656 entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal system equipment, new information and technology equipment, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,611,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make down payments, authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
All right, now, this ordinance, which is on for second reading and final passage, is simply an amendment of a previous bond ordinance that was bond ordinance number 1656, and this ordinance that we're adopting, that we're going to vote on tonight, is to increase the scope of service in the prior bond ordinance to include some work that will be allocated towards the public safety building generator. And this has been on our agenda for quite some time now. Neil Carroll, who's sitting in the back, is the biggest advocate we have on getting an upgraded generator for a public safety building whenever there's a storm or an emergency or an electrical outage that we have and we lose power to the police department. It's always an emergency situation, and this plan that we have now, which is based upon the second go-round of electrical engineers, is supposed to work and will provide power to the public safety building, the police department, in the event of an actual emergency. So, can I have, this one we'll have to open it to the public. Can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public regarding ordinance number 1760?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, the meeting is now open to the public for any comments or statements they would like to make regarding ordinance number 1760. Yes.
Paolo Chilias, 685 Fifth Avenue. I have to comment as a taxpayer in town that, I don't know, you live here, you pay taxes as well as we do?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me all these expenditures, why can't they be prolonged at a later date? You know, the bond, $1.5 million here, $500,000 there, another expense. You're piling up and increasing the taxes that will be laid on all of us. Is this really necessary? I haven't heard a discussion. Is this mandatory? That's that life or death situation. It can be prolonged for 2 years in the future, and we might be better off. Not have to expense this, because that means everybody's taxes are going to go up. This assessment doesn't really take into account the budget increases that we are projecting now with all these expenditures that we're putting on the table. How are we going to deal with that?
Anybody else? Anybody want to comment from the, let's hear from the public first. Mr. Carroll.
Bill Carroll, 321 Williams Avenue. Just reading the ordinance, it says public safety building and appendages. Is the appendage the Borough Hall as well?
Yes.
It doesn't say the Borough Hall, it says the public safety building. That's my question.
It says and appurtenances, so anything related to that generated.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And it did include the HVAC specifications into the package?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I'd like Alan to provide to the public an explanation that the ordinance 1760 that's on tonight for final passage does not mean that the whole 1 million, what is the number here? $1,611,000 is going to be bonded. That was previously bonded years ago in another ordinance.
Yeah, if Alan could just tell, what year is that 1656 from? If you know.
If you want to wait, then I can look it up.
Well, no.
This had to
Ballpark
do with...
If you can.
Yeah, right, ballpark it.
No, I don't like the ballpark things, Mayor.
Basically, Mr. Celia...
I will tell you exactly.
Okay,
I have it here. This ordinance had to do with Hackensack Avenue, 2009 this ordinance came from. This was a 2009 ordinance. We've had a proposal for a public safety generator ranging from $150,000 to $200,000. We have some funding available, but not enough to get us to the $200,000 level if that's what the mayor and council decide to ultimately go out to bid on. So this ordinance has approximately $588,000 remaining in it, and this would allow the council to charge this project to that. Mayor, if I could just address the question of what we're bonding tonight overall. The mayor and council received well over $2 million in close to $3 million in requests from the various departments. They denied approximately $1.2 million in requests and in projects, in acquisitions, in things that will be postponed to future years. The mayor and council, this is one of the few years that I've seen the mayor and council approve a list of items that is based on what is really needed by these particular departments. There are many things that would enhance services, that would improve our infrastructure. Many of these things had to be delayed or postponed due to our budget situation. The mayor and council and the Citizens Budget Committee spent many weeks deliberating over these various capital items and whether they should be funded this year or not. The ones that remain are the ones that are either mandated by state or federal requirements, or those that will improve our infrastructure or necessary to our infrastructure, or to reduce costs in the future. I believe that's how the Mayor and Council and the Citizens Budget Committee looked at these remaining capital items. As I said, well over $1.2 million of other projects will not be done this year and have been taken out of the capital program. Thank you, Mayor.
Johnny?
Just to your point, sir, I'm not in favor of all the capital items on there. Some I am. But I did think that we should go back and prioritize, because some of them are not life or death issues and they could be postponed. And one thing that I have a problem with government is it's very confusing, some of this stuff, unless you're in all the meetings. So while that 1.6 is not from this year, we do have almost $1 million this year in capital items that we are going to go out and seek bonds for. So just so you understand that there is $1 million on the table this year that we're going out for. And while we did cancel 1.2, there's still $1 million, and it's not a small number, and I do still think that we should revisit that and prioritize the items that are the most important, and put off things that can be put off that are not as necessary, because it's definitely a tax issue, and I think we do need to address some of these things.
Just to address your point, and I know it looks like we're kind of glossing over this and, just passing it real quick, but like Alan said, many Saturday mornings and late nights on, when we didn't have meetings or after meetings, we debated each of these items ad nauseum. Sometimes, multiple times, did we debate the individual items. So it looks like we're doing it real quick right now, but we spent a lot of hours on each individual item. It's just no citizen comes to unless they're on the Citizens Budget Committee, comes to our budget hearings on Saturday mornings. No one.
I volunteer to come as an interested taxpayer.
Okay.
I think I would like to see more disclosure and more transparency with what's going on. Honestly, you guys, you're lost. You're up there, you passed the budget, and we pay for it here, all of us. Now my taxes will be close to $20,000 on my home. I'm close to retirement. I can't even retire in my own home. I can't afford the taxes. I'm not the only one in town in the situation. I think it's ridiculous. You have done a very bad job, not you individually, but in prior administrations, you have not managed the budget. And here you go again. You're ready to pass additional money. You don't realize the credit rating of the town gets worse with more money that you borrow. Because just like everyone else, if you start to use your credit card, you're going to run out of money. You can only tax so much. And I'll tell you right now, when I speak to my neighbors, everyone is ready to revolt. They don't know which way to go. Everybody takes the easy road to just get out of town. But we want to live here and work here, and we want the town to succeed. But how do you do that? You can't do it by spending and taxing more. If you can delay it, delay it. Don't spend the money.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other members of the public? I will say that we look at our debt service every year. Historically, as long as I've been looking at these budgets, we are not increasing our debt limit this year as opposed to prior years. We pay off, we're about even, we're about flat in terms of debt service from year to year. We had some, as other members said, we had some big ticket items that some departments wanted that we could not give them, but when we have leaking roofs and we have HVAC systems that are not operating and we don't have an emergency generator for when we have a natural disaster, these are things that are priorities, and we have to protect our infrastructure. And I think that's what we've done responsibly on both sides of the aisle. No matter what political party you're from, we work together on this budget. Yes?
Just one more comment, and that's it's not open to public debate, but you spoke earlier about the Senior Citizen Center, the Knights of Columbus, which is a building that's damaged by molds. I mean, you should know that...
American
you
Legion.
can't
American
correct-
Legion.
American Legion, sorry.
Right.
You can't correct the molds, you know that. You have to tear a building down. Any remedial action will then be permanent, and the senior citizens occupying that building are going to get sick. So you should know that maybe you should take that property and turn it into dual-family homes or something else, or make it commercial, because that's lost. So this money
Mayor,
was
we're
spent...
far afield of this ordinance.
Okay, all right.
This money and the parking lot was, $1 million was spent, nearly $1 million, for what?
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Peggy?
Peggy White, 741 Center Avenue. I would like to correct this gentleman that said that you obviously haven't done a good job. The mayor and council in this town has always done a good job, especially when it comes to the budget, because you do work very, very hard at it, and I know because I've been coming here for 55 years and watching this, but also I would like to invite that gentleman and anybody else to come here every first and third Monday and participate as citizens and see what the town does.
And we go into our budget cycle, after this budget is adopted, we go into our budget cycle in late November until the beginning of April, when we're more than happy to make you a member of the Citizens Budget Committee, so you can go over the books with us and give us the benefit of your advice and expertise and opinions on where you think we should be saving money. We're more than happy. That's why we have a Citizens Budget Committee, so we can hear homeowners like you. Thank you. All right, if there's no further, I see one hand up in the back.
Just on this
My
ordinance.
name is Sona Demergy. I've lived in town for 38 years. I live at 935 Willow Avenue.
Just let me stop you for, just let me ask you one question.
Yes.
We're having a hearing right now on ordinance number 1760. Are you going to address that?
No.
Okay, well then just take a seat.
Okay.
We're going to open it, after we get through this ordinance, we'll open the hearing up for any other comments on ordinance number 1760. Can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right. Can I have a motion for final adoption of ordinance number 1760?
So moved.
Second.
All right, can I have a roll call?
Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Ford?
Yes.
Councilman Porto?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next, we have resolutions by consent. We have resolutions 12-131 up to and including resolution 12-155. Does any member of the governing body wish to pull out for separate consideration and vote any of the resolutions? Okay, can I have a motion to adopt these resolutions?
No, I have one.
Go ahead.
131.
12-131. Okay. All right, can I have a motion by consent for resolutions 12-132 up to and including, let's do up to including 12-153.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's do the payment of the bills. We'll have our Finance Committee Chairman read ordinance number 12-154.
Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $1,768,264.62. Recreation account, $3,594.96. Trust other account, $9,516.35. Open space account, $455.63. Trust other developers account, $1,675. So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, let's have Resolution 12-155 to enter into the agreement with Papa Sand and Gravel, 209 Holt Street, Hackensack, for the leaf, grass, and yard waste recycling.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we have for separate vote, Resolution number 12-131?
Yes.
To enter into an agreement with Dakota Fitzpatrick Coal, LLP in Teaneck.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 12-131.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call?
Councilwoman Murphy?
No.
Councilman Court?
Yes.
Councilman Porco?
Yes.
Councilman McMillan?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Capoeira?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next we have opening the hearing to the public for any and all comments. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, the public can comment on any issue at all. Just raise your hand, I'll call you. There was somebody in the back before. Come on. Give us your name and address.
My name, I'm Selma Jamerji, I live at 935 Willow Avenue. I have lived there for the past 38 years. Very happily, I might add. I'm fortunate enough to have my daughter living on the same street with me. In 2003, they had a house torn down on our block that was a derelict home in very bad condition. They were able to purchase it and rebuild a new home. In the 9 years they've lived there, their taxes have doubled. And now with the 100% assessment, I totally agree with this man. They want to leave town, and I'm heartbroken. They're going to put their house up for sale. Their house now, I believe, is $21,000 and change. If they sell it for $800,000 at your new tax rate, the taxes will be $29,000. No one will buy their house. No one. And I am sick. And I don't know, but something has to be done. The home, their home, the other two new homes on our block have enhanced our block. River Edge is beautiful. There are new homes around. People are fixing up their homes. It's lovely. Our town has never looked better. But no one's going to buy the homes if you're going to tax the people to death. The answer to me, I sat and last night I couldn't sleep, and I said, why can't we put an amount by which you cannot go any further, no higher? So say the highest tax would be $20,000, and that's it. No matter how big, how nice, as long as the town has approved that, why can't that be a cap on the tax? Who is going to come to River Edge and pay $29,000? They'd be running away. You would run away. It's a lovely town, but not that lovely. And I know all of you agree with me. You're sitting back listening to me. Something has to be done. I'd be happy to work with you, but I think, like I was saying to my son-in-law, after you make a certain amount of money, people who make in the millions, they don't pay any more tax. I think that's the structure, the tax rate. I don't know what it is, but maybe we could do something like that, whereby if you own a lovely home, and people work hard for their home, we all like to live in a nice home. Well, to me it seems like you're rewarded if you live in a junkie house. Oh yeah, keep your house looking like I don't want to say what, but then, okay, your taxes will be low. Is that what we want for this town? I don't think so. Don't you all love the way it looks? I love the way River Edge looks. I drive through town and I say, what beautiful, everybody cares for their home, the majority care for their home, because we all love living here. I brought up my daughter here. I was pregnant when I moved here, and I've had 2 children, and we're still here. That means we must love it. So please, I beg you tonight, I beg you, that's why I came, that's why I'm, to do something, let's figure out a way to fix it. Okay, the people who are sitting back, their taxes went down, we're very happy. But you know, all these people who built a lovely home, who worked so hard to live in that $800,000 house, and what's happening? They're running away. Okay, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sonia. Yes.
Paolo Chile, 685. I agree, I sympathize with you because I feel the same way. I've been here 20 years, it was new construction in '93, and my taxes were less than $7,000 20 years ago. Now they're close to 20, they're 18 change. So I have to say, I mean, my salary tripled over 20 years? No, of course not. All we're doing in town is passing budgets. I understand with the things that we need to purchase, that we need to replace, things wear out. But there's no way that we're going to cap at 20,000 because every year with a new budget, the school sells out everything. And that's what something more drastic has to take place. And I wish if you want to join me in getting the funding of education out of property taxes into another budget, whether it's income taxes or some other means. Because otherwise, we do need to spend money in town. We need to pave the streets. There are things that we need to do. We need to keep the town beautiful. We need to have a good education system. But it's crazy the way we're doing it. It's not sustainable.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I haven't been here 20 years. I've been here 8 months. We moved mountains to get into your town. It's mine and my husband's first home. We started a family here. We have a young son now. And our taxes went up 53% 2 weeks ago. It's a mansion for us. It's 2,000 square feet. It's a palace to us. That's not a big house, and you guys know that. We're at almost $16,000. So, and it's unsellable, because you'd be crazy to buy my house with $16,000 taxes on what really should be considered a main road, Fifth Avenue, tons of school traffic. This was 8 months ago, this was our dream come true, and I can't tell you, if we could get out of River Edge tomorrow, we'd be gone, but we're stuck, and it's probably the worst feeling in the world, and I don't know how you guys are going to do it with your taxes, with our taxes, but it's, I'm a teacher, he's a cop, we don't make a lot of money, and we move mountains to get here, and I wish it hadn't worked out. It's really, it's terrible to say that about what you've always wanted, but, that's where we are, and we know, some people went down, some people went up 100%. We looked, we leafed through everything. Some people were assessed a lot higher than we were, and their taxes went up a lot more. But we're young and we're willing and we're working, and we want our kids to go to your schools. We picked River Edge because of the schools, and it stinks. It's really, it's awful, and it sounds like we're in the same boat as a lot of other people.
Thank you. Yes.
Victor Adams, 160 Zabriskie. I spoke earlier, so for those of you who aren't here, we're in the same boat. My family moved about 3 years ago and had about 100% increase in their tax. I think what we appealed to the council here, and I think earlier I brought this up, is I think that what we don't want to hear is that there's nothing we can do about it. There is something that can be done about it, which is to try and figure out what we're going to do to change what is the current state. We made a decision to get to this current state. The tax assessment company and the tax assessor have made certain decisions. What I was told by Jimmy Enzavino was that the way that they figured out the taxes to level everything is they just multiplied everything by a 0.84 number, or they divided by a 0.84 number, and that lifted everybody's valuation up to what they felt was the current value. And then as long as the assessment company came within 5% of that, nobody questioned anything, and I think we heard that the process was the cheapest process we could find, which was not to do it thoroughly, not to do it properly, and the net result is that it didn't work out, and it's not helping the families, and it's not helping the people. So the challenge to the council, the challenge to our community here, is not to just sit back and say that what's happened, happened, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's to flip it on its head and to say, this year, we're going to change something so that it's not going to be for the next 10, 20, 30 years. This is it. It was a mistake. Nobody's going to point fingers at anybody, and let's fix the mistake. And I think that's where, Paul and I had a chat this morning. We just want to figure out, we don't want to hit any deadlines or state mandated that we missed the boat. Individuals appealing the reassessment and the revaluation is very short-sighted and is only going to, I think, the way it's going to help percentage points off of everybody. If anybody went through that whole process, it's going to waste time. So let's figure out a bigger picture solution to this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Back here.
I'll start with one comment, a positive comment.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
My name is Kirsten Appa. I'm here with my husband, Mike Appa. We're at 175 Voorhees. And the first comment is we really appreciate the council meetings being hosted on YouTube. We're not always able to make it, and it does add a level of transparency, and we appreciate that. We've been watching the past before. We're also here to talk about the recent assessment. We have a slightly different situation. We moved to the town in January 2011, and at the time we made sure that any comparable neighborhood on the street had a similar assessment to ours because we wanted to avoid something like this happening. They did. We have not done anything to our house. We have not added any square footage. We've done nothing that would impact the assessment, and we got slammed. I mean, we got a 20% increase in 1 year. It's nothing compared to some of the other people in here. But the house was built in 1939, expanded in 1999. We've done nothing. The single factor was that we bought our house. And when I started comparing the data from the houses that were used in the assessment, the sales data, to the entire town, the number of homes that were reduced by that 12% mark, so that their taxes went down, the town as a whole, that percentage was 64.62%, and for people that bought in the past 2 years, it was 2.7%. And the percentage of assessments that went up was 7.8% for the whole town and 19.9% for people that bought, 2.5 times. I'm not saying that the sales were a total microcosm for the entire town. I'm sure that wasn't the case. But if you look at all the sales that took place, there was a wide variety of homes that sold. So I feel that, anybody that bought was definitely penalized more than the people that had been in that town for a while. The other thing that we noticed, unfortunately, is that there's a large swath of the town that was grossly underassessed. And by underassessed, I mean grossly below market. That includes us. I mean, I would hope that we wouldn't be able to sell our house for what it's assessed for. It's much below the market. And I took a look at homes that came on the market in the past couple of months. Some of them are coming on at 125 to 140% of their most recent assessed values. So, in my opinion, I don't think we really got what we paid for. We asked for market. I don't think we really got market value for a large swath of the town, which puts people like us in a really bad situation, because we feel like we're way off from our neighbors now, way off from comparable homes. We have a very difficult time selling, with taxes so much higher than comparable homes in town, and we have no recourse. We talked to ASI, we talked to the tax assessor, I talked to someone at the state, the county, and 6 attorneys. There's nothing we can do. Fortunately for the town, we don't have enough time or resources to file a discrimination suit for moving into the town, and I don't like lawsuits anyway. But we feel that we're being unfairly discriminated against. Anyway, I am in the tax field myself. If I paid $174,000 for someone to give me a market analysis of my town, and I'm seeing the numbers coming in now at 110, 120, 130% of that market, it's garbage. I would say you got to either redo this or give me my money back, and I'm going to go get another reassessment done. That's just my opinion. I wish I was more prepared to talk about education tonight. I started doing some research because we started thinking that there definitely was a problem in town. I appreciate you talking about the development projects that are going on. Hopefully that will bring some revenue and ease some pain for some of the residents. I think that's important. Every little bit counts. But on the education side, all feelings aside on how education is currently funded in the state, which some of us agree with it, some of us don't. Based on the current funding formula, River Edge is being grossly underfunded based on what the state says we should be getting. I don't know if anyone up there is familiar with that. I've been in contact with some of the people at the finance division of the Department of Education at the state. They're kind of hard to get a hold of sometimes. I wish I had more data, like I said, more recent data. But at least in 2009, 2010, based on the state's formula, we were supposed to get $4.789 million, and we got $771,000, something like that. I'm not sure if these were final numbers or not. Other districts in the county were funded either at 100%, 50%, 75%, 80%, even 25%. That was 16%. So in my opinion, even based on the current funding formula at the state level, we're being grossly underfunded. And I'm waiting on data from them. I wanted to get more recent data. I unfortunately don't have that, but I do think that's a big issue, and it's definitely something that I wanted to reach out to the legislators about. See if there should be some sort of catch-up provision for towns like us that have fallen behind. You know, we don't have multi-million-dollar properties in town. We don't have those housing. We're not a wealthy town. But yeah, we do have excellent schools. And I noticed recently in the mail we got something saying that at least at the elementary level, they're 19th lowest cost per student in the state. Obviously, you know, people are doing their jobs, but I don't think we're getting the help that we deserve from the state. So, thanks. Sorry for everyone on the call.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Follow Chair 685. One more comment about the assessment itself. Probably depreciated value as the home gets older, gets depreciated more. When I looked at the assessment compared to 2005, my actual depreciation value went up, which means it was treated as a newer home, which made no sense. Another comment, I took down the whole valuation that they did, and I have a spreadsheet. I did a whole bunch of analysis too. And what I found is any home that's newer than 1980, whether it was redone, their taxes have gone up. My neighbor across the street, 685 across the street from me, it was a Cape. It was redone. It's now classified as colonial. His taxes are going up more than $6,000 from 1 year to the next, which is ridiculous. Another home next to him, a Cape, which had fire damage and it was redone, all refurnished. They had a porch, they had another garage. Their taxes are going down $2,500. Explain that to me. So I started to look into it, and it makes less and less sense. Nothing makes sense of what was done. It's just, they're crooks.
Mr. Carroll.
Neil Carroll, 321 Wales Avenue. I know it's not on the agenda, it's the first reading of the ordinance tonight, and you mentioned the stormwater drainage improvement in the vicinity of Voorhees and Elm. Is that correct? The two drainage problems that we had a couple of blocks away, and the people that were up here complaining were from Voorhees and Oak as opposed to Elm. So I'm just curious, you're taking in that whole package, including those two dips in the road where with no catch basins?
Yeah, Elm and Manning and Elm and Voorhees, I believe, are the two locations. So those are the Elm locations.
Including the Oak Avenue ditch?
And the Voorhees problem that these residents have raised is being addressed through that ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
Someone in the back, yes.
My name is Melanie Castanopoulos. I live at 920 Willow Avenue. This is my mother. She just spoke before. I'm fortunate to grow up and live in River Edge. I'm 39 years old. I went to Roosevelt, participated in all the youthful things, and have many friends. And I now have two young kids. One that's going to go to Roosevelt for a Newbridge Center next year. And as she was saying, we have an opportunity to fix our house and live on the same block as my parents so that they could help us. Our taxes were $5,000 in 2003. They went up to 11. Now they're 18. They're going to go up again to 21,000 on one income. And it's really difficult to, I should have listened to my husband 5 years ago to leave because I knew this was going to happen. I tried to tell him, let's stay here. I love River Edge. The school's great for the kids. It's a nice town. They enjoy it. They love all the kids who live on a dead-end street, and they're able to ride their bikes, go to Memorial Park, and walk there. you know, I can go on and on, but it's killing everybody's value. I mean, I couldn't even sell my house now for what I would want to sell it for, because no one's going to come and pay all that money in tax for a 75 by 100. And you guys spent all that money for being having an assessment. I've had many discussions with Jim, and you know, we appealed our taxes a few years ago, and then they told me I wasn't paying my fair share of taxes. This is why, you know, I have to pay more now because I didn't pay enough. Well, I don't agree with it, and I think it's very wrong. You guys will do your job. I would be happy to come to any of the open meetings if I knew when they were. I do have 2 small children that are probably screaming their head off at my house right now, waiting to go to bed, but I wanted to come here because I'm very upset. If I have to leave, it's going to be very difficult because there's nowhere else to go. Where am I going to go? You know, I mean, I could go to Paramus and pay lower taxes for what? How long? They're going to eventually, the entire area here is being reassessed, and you guys are spending a lot of money for that. So I would think that maybe they made a mistake, and they need to reevaluate all the houses in the area, because it seems as though they're targeting only the houses that have been built in the last 5 years, with all those so-called McMansion houses. And I think it's very wrong that they're doing, and it's really upsetting. And the rate, you can't even fight the rate now. The rate is, you could have appealed your taxes, but now with the rate the way it is, it's astronomical. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Council comments. Any member of council want to make any closing comments? Al?
Oh, why not? Nobody else is going to. Just a couple things, and I'll get to the reassessment at the end. We had the Donate Life here earlier today, and just one thing I'd like to add to that. First of all, it's a great thing. If you're not signed up to be an organ donor, please do so. But also, if you do decide to be an organ donor, just let your loved ones know that you selected to be an organ donor. It may not be enough that it's on your driver's license. Just let them know so that if that time unfortunately does come, they know that that was your wish if they don't have access to your driver's license. But it is a wonderful thing, and it does bring, in a tragic situation, it does bring some comfort to the family knowing that some of your organs are, like they said, tissues. Not just organs are going to be used to help people. So please sign up to be an organ donor. I'd just like to say congratulations to Rose Pagan on her pending retirement, not for a couple months, and that will be a loss to the borough. And I'd also like to thank Dick Barry for his service as the emergency management coordinator. I think he was in that position for 12 years, and he served honorably in that position. So I do want to thank him for his service.
Al, would you like to present a plaque to Dick Berry for his 12 years of service?
I think that'd be an excellent.
Could you make that motion, and we could also give one to his deputy?
I will make that motion that we present a plaque to Mr. Barry and to Mr. Killian for their service.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Can we get that? We can find the money in the budget for a couple of plaques, right? Great.
And now for the reassessment. I've spoken to anyone who sent me an email. I've called and spoken to. Usually it's a good 45-minute to an hour conversation on the phone while we're talking. And, you know, when we did the reassessment, or when I voted for it, I did that based upon the advice of the tax assessor, who told us that this was needed because of the large amount of tax assessments, or tax appeals, I'm sorry, that we've had over the last couple of years. And it was making it increasingly more difficult to operate the municipal government because of the loss in revenue. And River Edge was not alone in that. At a prior meeting, I read off a list of all the towns that have done reevaluations or reassessments in the last couple years or in this year, and I understand that New Milford actually voted in February to do a reassessment. They're our neighbor, and Oradell is also doing one, although a little bit differently. They're in the process as well. So this is something that's been going on with all municipalities, and it's not just River Edge that's been doing this. And the data that came back was shocking to us. One, it was not presented in advance of it being published to everybody else. We learned our reassessed numbers the same as everybody else. We didn't get it in advance, got it in the mail, checked the website and see what it was. There was no briefing or anything like that beforehand. And two things struck me. One was that under the old assessment, which I think was also seriously flawed, I think the reevaluation that was done in 2005 had a lot of problems. And those problems are being magnified as a result of this reevaluation. But you did have some large homes that were being sold for $850,000, $900,000, being assessed at $600,000. And so that was creating a difference in their taxes. And because of this reevaluation, that is getting magnified. Because now that they've brought up to market value, you see the difference. At the same time, however, and I think what may be the fatal flaw in this is the fact that, as the one woman said, and I forget your name, I apologize, ma'am, but 2/3 of the homes in town saw a reduction. And when we were told about the reassessment, what we were told was typically you'll see a third go down, a third go up, and a third stay the same. That didn't happen. You had 2/3 go down and a third go up. And that little bit from each of those capes and those ranches, which I've heard a lot of people slam the capes and ranches. They're nice homes. They're just not that big, but they're nice homes. And people do maintain a lot of them, and they're nice. But those values, the reassessment went way down. I'll be very honest, I'm one of those homes. It went down. And, you know, my taxes went down $300, which, I got to be honest, I've heard people here, and I've heard them on the PAC say, I voted for the reassessment because my taxes were going to go down. And yes, I ran for council, put in all the time and the weekends, and voted for the reassessment so I could save myself $300. I mean, that's ridiculous. I actually thought mine would go up when I voted for it, to be quite honest. I had added a 2-car garage, I did some work around the house, I thought my assessment was going to go up. And it didn't. And I suspect that, and I hope, that my house is not valued at what the reassessment came in at. I really do. Because there was such a decline, and I've said this publicly, from what I paid for it 5 years ago at $520 to now have it valued at $370. Well, I'm underwater too, if that's true. Seriously underwater. And I hope that's not true. And that may be where we need to look, honestly, is whether or not homes on the other end of the spectrum have been underassessed, and that's causing the problem here. And that could correct some of the increases to the larger homes. But those homes are still going to see an increase. Simply, maybe not to the extent that they have, but simply because they were, for a long period of time, underassessed. And I said this before, there's such a diversity in the housing stock in River Edge. You have 1,500 square foot capes, and then you have 4,500 square foot houses. And there's so little actually in between. There was no natural evolution in the housing stock in town. It made a gigantic leap forward, and that does cause these disparities in the taxes that I mentioned before. If every house was an $800,000 house, well then all your taxes would be the same. If every house was a $400,000 house, all the taxes would be the same. But you don't have that in River Edge. You have 400 really big houses, and you have 2,000 kind of small houses, and there's about 600 in, kind of in the middle. There was no natural progression in the evolution of our houses. They jumped and they took off at a rapid pace. And so I don't know if there's anything we can do or not. Mr. Anzavino has given me a few suggestions, one of which is financially unfeasible for the town. He talked about a phasing in of the taxes, where the town would float the tax increases for a year, and then everybody would have to pay them back. We don't have the money in the bank to do that. You would need several $1 million in the bank to do that. I assure you, we don't have that. The other, he suggested, and I don't know if it's possible, is to petition the county in a year or so to look at the numbers and create essentially a fictional neighborhood of large houses, and to manually go into the computer and change the assessments. Now perhaps that may also have to be done not so much at the top, but at the bottom, to be quite honest. And so that's something we're going to have to look into. But again, you're right about our school funding. It's seriously low. The state refuses to fund the suburbs. They won't do it. They won't give us our fair share. The amount of money that we send to Trenton in the form of income taxes is nothing compared to what we get back. And that is what's causing such huge school taxes, is because the money that you send, that your income tax that's supposed to go towards paying that, paying for the schools, we don't get back. And that's something that seriously needs to be corrected. And, there's been bills pending in the legislature to correct it. They don't get anywhere. I don't know why. But that's the real problem. That's the real problem in town. You're not getting the funding from the state that you're supposed to get. And that leaves it squarely on the backs of the taxpayers in River Edge, particularly a community like us who doesn't have the residential component to take some of the slack off us. I think if you looked at those numbers, we have about $191 million in commercial value, but we have $1.2 billion in residential. So you could see the disparity between the two. Hopefully, on this council, it was asked, what are you going to do about it? We're trying desperately to spur development in the town. You saw tonight we retained a redevelopment attorney. In short order, I think we'll select a planner. I've even gone so far as to speak to the media teacher at Riverdale to talk about putting together a infomercial of sorts that we can market to prospective businesses, and what a wonderful place River Edge is. Because it is a wonderful place. It's just the taxes right now are too high. So we are working towards that. This budget was a hard budget to craft. I invite everyone to come. I really wish people would just come, not when it affects them personally, but all the time to see what's going on. We don't get that. This budget is less than it was last year, and it's by about $300,000, and it's $500,000 less than it was 5 years ago. We're working very hard to control the budget. Well, again, like I said, there was one person who showed up to the Riverdale Board of Education meeting the other night when the budget was discussed. One person. Go to the Board of Ed meetings. Find out, because that's 2/3 of your taxes, and nobody goes. Learn what's going on. I always say this, democracy doesn't work unless you have an informed citizenship. Inform yourselves. We've tried to with televising the meetings. you got to go to the meetings and find out what's happening. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen and then Johnny.
Johnny can go first. It's okay.
That's right.
This is kind of just on a happy note. If anyone could get in touch with Tim Tebow, apparently his family hails from the River Edge area. They own a 261-acre estate from Midland Avenue to on Kinnickmack Road, and I think that'd be a nice addition to River Edge. Liz, if you could look into that.
Johnny.
I just wanted to make a quick comment on the taxes. I totally agree they're high. I mean, the assessment's a difficult thing. I hate seeing people's taxes go up that much. I sympathize with everybody that got hit that hard, and it's terrible, and I think you should go to the tax assessor and see if there's been mistakes. But at the same time, if somebody's bought a house that's $800,000 and it's assessed at $600,000, that's a big disparity, and to have that fall on the smaller homes is not fair in that sense either. There has to be some sort of happy medium there, because it's just not fair. I know some houses before their assessment, they were assessed higher than they sold for. So that's not fair to them either. I mean, if you have a house that sells for less than it's assessed at, let's say you take a house that's $400,000 and it's assessed at $425,000 or $450,000, but then you have an $800,000 house that sells for that money, but it's assessed at $600,000, well, that's not fair either. So if there is mistakes that be made, I do, say that go in and make sure that your information's correct, and that can be adjusted. But our taxes are way too high. And I've been saying this for a long time. We have to restructure the way we do things. Our budget, we did cut back a lot, but we also have to restructure the way we do things. It's just not cost effective to have us doing all these services in-house anymore. We're going out for an RFP to have our recycling picked up by an outside vendor, because I just don't think it's cost effective anymore, because manpower is expensive for a government. It's very expensive between the pensions and the benefits and all this stuff. It costs us a ton of money to do these services that we can get cheaper outside. And I've been pushing for that, and I think that's where we need to go. And just wanted to make a comment on the school, as far as the funding and everything. That's all well and good that we get, our funding is wrong, and if we get that money, that's great. But it's really not going to affect our taxes unless the funding unless our taxes for the school budget go down. We got more this year than we did last year, but we still got a 2%, which is the cap for the schools. So even though the schools got more last year, we still didn't see any of it, because that 2% we went to the max. So even if we get $10 million next year, if the schools go to the 2%, it doesn't really do anything for us. So, I mean, that's just something important that you got to keep in mind, that, asking the state getting it out of our budget and putting it into the state budget, so your income taxes go up. The money, it's there. You got to cut back on spending if you want to save. You can't just put it in another budget and assume that's going to come out of somebody else's pocket. It's still going to come out of your pocket. In fact, it'll probably be more, because it'll be buried in all kinds of other stuff. So the only answer is either raising revenue, which we're trying to do, but it takes time, and B, I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we raise so much revenue that our taxes get cut by such a significant number, like half, which is, I think, what all of us think that we pretty much should be. Half or 3/4. So the only answer for us is to significantly cut back, but by cutting back, I mean now restructuring the way we do things. And it's going to take using a hybrid approach as far as services we do in-house, which has to be whatever we cannot get done outside at a more cost-effective rate. And we have to look at every single service by service, what we get from each department, and each one of those has to go out, and we have to see if we can get it cheaper outside. And if we can, then we have to do it. And that's it. That's the only way we're going to get, in my opinion, tax relief.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Ed?
I just want to congratulate also Rose on her retirement. That's one of the busiest offices in the borough, and she's been doing it a long time and doing it very well, and she will be hard to replace. I'd also like to thank Dick Berry in my dealings with him. He's been nothing but courteous, and I think he served with integrity and professionalism. And it's one of those jobs where you're going to be second-guessed no matter what you do, and I'm sure Tom knows what it's going to be like to step back in that role. And we always got to hope that everybody does what's best for the borough and leaves the second-guessing to a minimum, because people are making these decisions in trying circumstances, and they're doing the best they can. The assessment, I've said a lot about it already. I'd like to see Mr. Anzavino come back and explain if there are things we can do procedurally. I also asked for the gentleman from the assessment company to come here and explain the process and explain how they review their data and if they do any kind of quality assurance, quality control. So he wasn't available last time when Mr. Anzavino was here. I think for paying him $170,000, they should be here and at least face the public and explain some of their process. And he said hopefully we'll be able to do something about it, because it didn't turn out like we thought.
All right, thank you. I also I echo Ed's comments. I want to thank Rose Pagan of the Building Department for all the years of service. When my house burned down in 2003, I relied on Rose to help me through the process of going for the building permits and getting all my paperwork in order, and she was a huge help. And she always treated me professionally, and I really appreciated that. I also want to thank Dick Berry and Jim Arakelian. Although I'm new to the job here, as soon as I was sworn in, Dick contacted me, he came to my office, he sat down with me, he explained his job. He kept me in the loop whenever there was any type of emergency. He let me know, he called me up, he told me what was going on. I really appreciated his professionalism and his 12 years of service to the community. And I know that Jim Arakelian was by his side pro bono for all those years, right? So that was also appreciated. And I'm not going to say anything about the reassessment because I've already gone public, and the time for pointing fingers is over. It didn't come out the way it had been envisioned. Hopefully, we want to get off the ground and grow the town a little bit, and hopefully the reassessment will not short-circuit the process of growing the town and getting new construction projects going, which is what we want to do. We have to move forward. There is a mechanism, I'm an attorney, there's a mechanism for disputing your taxes, and everybody should take advantage of that. That's all I want to say. Everybody thank you for coming. We always appreciate when the public comes to all of our meetings. Please come to more meetings in the future. Thank you very much. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
No, we have to go to closed session.
Closed session.
All right.
We got to reopen the work session.
We're just looking at closed minutes?
Yeah.
Can we do that when we